Welcome to the beautiful village of Clarborough in Nottinghamshire. Nice church here, beautiful little road, tucked off the main road that goes through. Very pleasant little place. I'm here really to give you a little bit of thoughts on this. Now this is, you probably worked out, is an MX-5. It's a 1.6 MX-5 2003, and not the interesting thing, but the point about this is it's ours. It's our car. It's my wife's car, and we purchased it new in 2003, and it's actually its 20th birthday this month. Can't remember the exact date we purchased it, but that's basically it. So I just thought I'd give you a rundown on this beautiful location on 20 years of ownership. It's quite a remarkable car, really. Cast iron mechanically, as you might expect. I think on the within the warranty period, in the first couple of months actually, the car did have a clutch failure, but obviously that was done under warranty, and the speedo failed too, which is not the same as the odometer, so the speedo was swapped also, and that's well within the first 12 months, and that's it. Mechanically, that's your lot. It's not had any more done to it. Sorry, tell a lie. I just remembered that the near side springs, front and rear, broke at about 12 years. I imagine that's something to do with the state of the roads in our country. I think the only other thing I would say about it is that when the original Panasonic gel battery went, in about, let me see, that was about 14 years as well. What I did was the battery's about £130, and I made the mistake, really, it was a schoolboy error, of buying a replacement that was so-called compatible with the car, and actually this particular battery wasn't. It was 12-volt battery, but it was of the sealed type, but it wasn't the gel, and I think it cost me £70 odd. And what I did last year, when I did some work, we'll come on to that in a second, I actually did what I should have done in the first instance, and that's buy the original gel battery. Again, this came in at about £136, something like that, but I should have done it. The battery lasted 14 years, and that's the way it should have been. Afternoon, sir. Oh, yeah. So that's about as far as it goes. It's still on the original exhaust, would you believe? The car itself has not been garaged. It was garaged 2 winters in that 20 years. Predominantly it's sat on the driveway, and yeah, we're still on the same exhaust. It's had, back into our old MX5 bodywork, it's had these done. So early on, the sills were cut away here. They can rust quite badly on the inside. So they were done at both sides. That cost £600. And I reckon that was probably at about 12 years. But you can see now they're coming up to 8, and there's no problems there. So it was all under sealed inside. So that was on both sides. That's a very typical MX-5 thing. If you leave it, this panel here can rot right up. So we did the right thing by catching it really early and just spending that money on it. The other thing that I had, and I won't show you inside the engine bay, but inside the engine bay is fine, of course. But what we've got is we've got 2 structural spars coming forward, and on the Mark IIs and upwards, these are made of a sandwich material, and I need a new alternator. This was about 2 years ago. The alternator seized up. We weren't using the car during COVID, and I was starting it once a month, and the alternator seized. So I got a new alternator for it. Replacement alternator is about £200, right? So put that on, and there was a little shield under there. So I popped the shield, a little plastic shield off the inside that stops the road muck from hitting the alternator. And lo and behold, I found the tin worm on the structural chassis members. Now, a few years ago, this would have been fatal for the car, right? A number of cars were failing. Even the Mark IIIs are even worse, actually. Some of the Mark IIIs were going after about 7 years. So because this sandwich material, moisture got inside, the original Mark Is were single piece steel, and they'd rotted. So I had to strip the interior of that engine bay out. Engine didn't come out, that stayed in, but all the associated material around it, the add-on parts, all there to come out, and then obviously the wheels, and get them out of the way. And what I did was I bought the parts. They were about £60 for the repair panels. So I did the manual labour myself, taking it out. Then I got a guy in to do the welding. I thought about doing it myself, but I had a few attempts and it didn't work for me. So I got a guy in. That cost me £250. So with my labour and the repair parts, that came in at just over £300 to get that chassis repair done. That'll never need doing again, not in my lifetime anyway. So yeah, when you add it up, there's a little bit of repair cost there, but it's mainly on the bodywork side. Mechanically, everything's fine. Interior's wearing reasonably well, 70,000 miles on the clock. We went for the slightly upgraded pack. Although we bought the 1.6 instead of the 1.8, I got the mohair hood and the alloy wheels. Remarkably, at the time in 2003, Mazda was still selling these with steel wheels and a plastic hood. That was your entry level. I mean, I guess really if I'd have gone for the 1.6, I was trying to be a bit frugal. My theory was that 70 miles an hour in this or 60 miles an hour in this is the same speed in a 1.8. So, you know, why spend the extra cash? So the 1.6 it is, 109 horsepower, very flexible engine, not particularly powerful, but very flexible. Economy over 30 gallon on a run. So it's short geared, so it makes the most of that engine in the relative speeds that it's doing. So you know you always feel like you're in the right gear. There's no real issues with what would appear to be a lack of power. 109 horsepower, people would scoff at that. On a private road, I once gave this some berries, and I got up to about 90 miles an hour on this private road, and you're thinking, oh yeah, he's lying here. But actually, it was a private road. It was an airfield, and I got it up to about 90. I wasn't high speed stability, not that impressed. Normal road speed's perfectly fine. You can go down a motorway at this. It's great with a top down. I get the top down at every opportunity. Every opportunity I get to drive it. So the ownership experience is great. Wife drives it, loves it. Can't see us ever getting rid of this car, right? So this isn't a sales video. It's literally an update. I think, from my point of view, when I drive it, I love driving it. So I'll take this out, no problems. My experience on the road has been a little bit different. I find that I can get a little less so these days. I think it's more so when it was new. I remember going down the M4 and a minibus full of workers pulled alongside me, and they gave me the old gold blend wave. You know, they just started shaking their fists at me as if to say, I involved myself in solo activities, right? And that's simply because I was driving this car with the roof down. I remember I drove through Chippenham in this one summer, and a guy came out of the pub. He'd come out the pub, and he was stood in the middle of Chippenham, and he cleared his throat, and he tried to gob in the car as I went past. And then I went to the chip shop again in Chippenham, and this actually mildly amused me. I mean, it shouldn't really, but it did mildly amuse me. So I pulled up outside, and the local kids were looking at me. And when I came out, one of them had emptied a packet of Monster Munch in the driver's seat. So, my wife doesn't seem to attract that kind of attention when she's in it, but for some reason I do. And it's quite strange, isn't it, how people react to certain cars. So yeah, this one's a keeper. 20 years old this month. Love it to bits. It's my wife's and my occasional driver. The MX-5 Mark 2.5, as you can see, it's the interior facelift. Here you see the white dials, and they've got the different cloth seats, which are standing up reasonably well. A little bit of wear on the driver's seat there, you can just see that. So yeah, Mark 2.5 NB. Yeah, very happy with it. So if you get the opportunity to own one or whatever, I highly recommend it, or at least drive one. It's a lovely car to drive. Oh yeah, one of the updates, I just put some new tyres on this, and I've gone for the Avon ZV7s. Had ZV3s on it. They were lasting very well, but they were old tyres. Put the ZV3s on it to put it through the MLT post-COVID after I'd done the chassis work. And I am really impressed with these tyres. The ride on this is really comfortable, considering the state of our roads, but they're quiet, very smooth, very little vibration through the steering wheel. Really, really impressed. And I think they're only about £53 a corner. I mean, the parts cost for this, I mean, I've replaced the discs, obviously, wear and tear parts. You can get a full set of discs for £100 for this car. going through various MX5 aftermarket parts. So they're really, it's really well looked after in the aftermarket scheme of things, and very economical to run. Like I say, it's still on the original exhaust after 20 years. Good afternoon. So, yep, wholeheartedly recommended. If you get the chance to have a drive one or own one, by all means do. You know, I think you can pick them up for relative peanuts now. What would this be worth if I sold it now? Not going to. What do you think? An MOT on it and all that work done, 1,500 quid, probably. It's, privately, I can't see it any more than that. So you can find one out there probably with the chassis needing doing at a grand, maybe. And if you're a bit handy yourself, you could have yourself a decent car for not a lot of money. So that's my experiences with it. So yeah, here it is, our 20-year-old MX-5. Happy birthday to you. It hasn't got a name. I'm not into giving cars names. You know, well, once I got past my first couple, I kind of ran out of names anyway. So it doesn't have a name, but it's Mazda gave it one. It's an MX-5. Thank you very much. I'll give you another update in another 20 years if of course I'm still here. Bye bye.